Xin chào tất cả các bạn đang theo dõi buổi trực tuyến của Education in Ireland Việt Nam. Hôm nay chúng ta rất vui vì cùng tham gia có cô Isobel Walton, đại diện Education in Ireland khu vực Đông Nam Á. Chủ đề của buổi trò chuyện hôm nay sẽ về tình hình dịch bệnh COVID-19 tại Ireland cũng như tất cả các thông tin liên quan đến du học Ireland. Chính vì vậy, trong thời gian của buổi trực tuyến, nếu như các bạn có bất kỳ câu hỏi gì hãy cho chúng tôi biết dưới phần bình luận, chúng tôi sẽ trả lời. Nào bây giờ chúng ta bắt đầu. Well, thank you Isobel for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me, and hello from Singapore.
Well, can you give our Vietnamese followers some information about the current situation of COVID-19 in Ireland?
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. So Ireland at the moment is in what we call phase 2 of lifting the lockdown. So that means that people have a bit more freedom at the moment. It's not a full lockdown. They're able to travel a little bit further. They're able to meet their friends outdoors. But what we're really looking forward to is phase 5, which will come in on the 10th of August, which will allow for the opening of all of our schools and universities and colleges.
Good. And regarding the colleges, are those colleges still accepting application for September 2020?
Yes, absolutely, they still are. The majority of the universities still have their applications open. Most have actually extended the deadline for applying to help with this current situation, as we know there's a little bit of uncertainty. So most deadlines have actually been extended by the universities, but the main thing is that they are accepting applications for 2020.
Good. It sounds a very good information. And should the students apply if the international travel restrictions are still in place?
Yeah, so there's obviously two concerns there. One, the international travel restrictions. If the student decides or is unable to travel if the restrictions aren't lifted, or what happens if there are some restrictions when they arrive in the country. So at the moment, most of our colleges and universities are being very flexible with deposits and fees. If a student cannot travel for whatever reason, they are refunding your deposit and your fees. We all know that this situation is out of control of the students, and we don't want to punish them or penalise them in any way. The other thing is, if they do decide to travel and they do go to Ireland, it looks like there might be a 2-week quarantine for students when they arrive. However, the universities have been very proactive about this and are setting up already systems to help the students, whether it be airport collection to take them to, rooms and hotels that they have booked for them, food delivery services for them, counselling services while they're in the 2-week quarantine. This has all been already discussed by the HEIs, and they are preparing for the arrival of students in September.
It sounds very good, because we know that Ireland has been assessed as the best country to support international students during COVID-19. So that affirmed this assessment. And how about visa application? Some students are worried if they can still apply for visa during this period.
Yep, so at the moment our visa office is closed in Hanoi, but it is expected to open shortly. So at the moment what we're advising students is make sure your application is ready to go. The embassy assures us that once they open, they will process student visas as quickly as possible. So take this time now to make sure you have all your documentation. They are answering questions from students and agents. So if you have a question about your application, now is the time to get it answered, and to make sure that once that visa office opens, you can just submit your documents and then you'll be ready to go.
So which means that the students can still email the visa office at the embassy if they have any queries, right?
Yeah, if a student has queries at the moment, they can email the embassy, and the embassy will be able to answer their queries on it. They are working at the moment. The embassy is open, so they'll be able to contact the embassy directly, and they'll be able to answer their questions.
Very good. And when would information about plans for the September 2020 intake available?
So as I said, August 10th is when we are aiming to have all of our institutions be able to open in Ireland, but the universities themselves are in control of when the start date and what their semester will look like. Many are starting probably a little bit later in September or early October, some of them with social distancing measures in place. Some of them are going to do a bit of a blended model where some of your lectures will be done online and you'll still be in Ireland if that's what you choose, and some of them will be in the classrooms, the more practical subjects. So it is going to be a bit of a mix, and the HEIs themselves have different plans. So the best thing to do is to contact the international offices in the colleges, and they'll be able to tell you when their start dates will be and what the first term will look like.
Can you please let our followers know some policies that the Irish government and the Irish colleges are applying to support international students affected by COVID-19?
Yes, of course, Ireland has put in many safeguards to help international students at this time. Protecting the welfare and the safety of the students in Ireland that are under our care is of vital importance to us. So just a few of the examples are that international students are entitled to the €350 unemployment benefit due to this pandemic. So any international student who has lost their job or cannot work now because of the pandemic, they are entitled to €350 a week from the Irish government to help them get through this period. We are also extending visas for those who visa might be expiring in the next few months. We're going to be just automatically renewing those visas just to make sure that there's no stress about that. And we've also moved our kind of application for the online system for the visas and the residency permits to an online system as well, so the students don't have to go out as well. In terms of the supports from the universities, they've been offering great supports from their students. We've been hearing from them every week about the different things that are going on and hear from the students. They range from giving them laptops to take home so that they can complete their coursework digitally if they didn't have a laptop. Grocery store pop-up stores so the students don't have to leave the campus. Counselling services, all free of charge, checking in on students. They have WhatsApp groups checking in on every student in the country. For those students who returned, who wanted to go back to Vietnam, they have been checking in on them, making sure that they know the coursework, the lecturers are checking in on them every day. So it is kind of a very much a community feel, and we are checking in on our international students a lot.
Very good, very good. Those sound very good policies in place, and it sounds a very good supporting environment for the students, international students. Can I ask, what if a student returned to Vietnam because of COVID-19 and their visa expired?
Yeah. Okay, so if a student has returned, and we know a lot of students did return because they wanted to be with their families, that's very understandable, and we've accommodated, of course, them taking their classes online. That hasn't been a problem, and their exams as well. For the visa, if they expired, obviously normally those students would have been applying for the extension of their visa in Dublin or in their local Garda station in Ireland to extend the visa. That is now moved online, which so they don't need to present in person and they can apply online.
Very good, very good. And another question, what will happen if the students pay their deposit for a program starting September 2020 and there is a change to the schedule or the start date is delayed?
Yeah, so if a student has paid a deposit and then they find that they cannot travel, or perhaps they just don't want to travel this year, it's decision that you have to make with their families, then for the most part the HEIs will refund your deposit. I think everyone is being very flexible in this situation. We know this is not the fault of the students. This is it's nobody's fault. So deposits will be refunded if you cannot travel.
And what is the deadline for deposit payments?
So the deposit payments are different with every HEI. Most of them have now moved up that deposit payment or application to the end of June or around that time. So the best thing to do is check with the international office of the institution you're applying to, and they'll have the date there. But most are around the kind of, early June, late June kind of moment at the moment.
What proof is required for English language competency? What changes will be introduced in the current situation?
Okay, so there's two main changes. The first one, the most important one, is that the embassy and the universities are now accepting an online test called Duolingo. So there is no need to get an IELTS or TOEFL test if you haven't done that. You know, the test centres are remaining closed around the world, so the Irish government has now approved Duolingo as an online test that you can take to prove your English competency. Some of the universities have also extended the validity of your IELTS test from 2 years to 3 years. So students who've done an IELTS test 3 years ago may be able to use that test to apply for the university as well.
Good, good. And given the current situation, we learned that the universities and IOTs in Ireland are planning to conduct blended study mode. That is part online and part class-based. In that case, what are the implications for the tuition fee?
So yeah, with blended learning being the virtual and physical presence in the classroom, the way we see it is going probably is that big lecture halls where it's hard to social distance may not be able to open, and that the lecturer will deliver the lecture from the lecture hall but to basically a study portal, and the students will be watching it in the library, in their homes, and then they would do all of their practical classes, you know, in the classroom themselves with their classmates with social distancing in order. Some of the HEIs are offering discounts if it's blended learning for the first semester. Others, you know, kind of, they haven't formulated their plan yet. So the best thing to do is talk to the international office. Some are offering discounts, some have yet to set their plans and to kind of finalise those. So it's unclear now what the plan will be with that. So just talk to your international office, get in touch with the university. These are all difficult times, and I think everyone is just, you know, trying to figure out what is the best thing for the students, for their safety and their health and for their education as well.
And then, you know, this year, the high school final exams in Vietnam have been moved to August. And in this case, what happens if the Vietnamese students only get their high school certificate after the school year starts in Ireland?
Well, if they're getting their results, you know, in August or September, the school year will not have begun in Ireland. Our own national exams were originally postponed as well until August, but they have now actually been cancelled, and we've moved to a predictive grade scheme at the moment. So for the first year incoming undergraduate students, bachelor students who this would be affecting, that semester is already planned to be delayed probably until late September, early October as it is. So that won't actually affect them that much.
Brilliant, good. And now let's talk about other topics of study in Ireland. Can you tell us a little bit about the policies that allow Vietnamese students to stay back in Ireland to search for employment after graduation?
Yeah, absolutely. This crisis, I think, is going to end eventually, we all hope. And I think students need to be looking forward to what will happen after they graduate as well. Ireland has a very good stay-back visa policy for students. If you're studying in Ireland an undergraduate degree, you are automatically entitled to a 1-year stay-back visa policy to search for work or, you know, to work. If you were studying a postgraduate degree, then you're entitled to a 2-year stay-back visa. And our postgraduates are a 1-year course generally. So you study for 1 year and you automatically get to stay in Ireland for 2 years. To work and to find a job there. You can also then, of course, if you found a job, apply for a work permit after that. So there is a lot of opportunity for students to work in Ireland after they graduate, and Ireland has one of the best, you know, kind of places for students to learn as well, especially in particular sectors. Ireland is what we call the Silicon Valley of Europe. So Google, Facebook, IBM, Apple, they all have their European headquarters in Ireland. So it is a great place for, you know, Vietnamese students to use that visa to get some work experience.
Brilliant, brilliant. And another very popular question we often receive from the followers is that what are the conditions for scholarship eligibility? Both the government of Ireland or the scholarships by the colleges? Okay, so the Government of Ireland Scholarship is a fully funded scholarship, but even provides a stipend every year to students to help them study.
They can apply for that through the Ministry of Education if they just look up Government of Ireland Scholarship. There are different criteria every year. It's basically a deserving student. You'll write a letter to, explaining why you were deserving of that scholarship, and why, that this is important for you to study that area. From the universities, we also have thousands of scholarships every year. Most of them are partial scholarships and fee reductions, but there's lots and lots of those. We basically, most Vietnamese students are recipients of scholarships from the Irish universities.
Good. And another question is, which major do you think would have better employment opportunities in Ireland?
Yeah, Ireland has a very strong economy, and actually the World Bank recently said that Ireland is the country most likely to be least affected by this COVID crisis in Europe. So we are looking to basically have a strong bounce back after this. And some of the areas of our economy, and it is mostly because some of the areas of our economy are kind of COVID proof, if you will. So biomedical devices, pharmaceuticals are very strong in Ireland. The manufacturing of pharmaceuticals, the research into pharmaceuticals, biomedical devices, and just medical research in general. That is a very strong area in Ireland, and students, are in great demand in those areas. The other area of our economy that's also very strong is anything digital or ICT or tech. As I mentioned earlier, Ireland is called the Silicon Valley of Europe. We are home to the biggest tech companies in the world who've all chosen Ireland as their European headquarters, and a lot of that actually has to do with the quality of our education. They come to Ireland because they can get the talent that they need. So we need, both Irish and international students in these areas. So if you want to, start a career maybe with Facebook, Google, IBM, PayPal, Apple, they all have their European headquarters in Ireland and hire a lot of graduates every year. In fact, it's very hard to find enough graduates to feed them.
Brilliant. Many of our followers also ask about foundation programs in Ireland. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, obviously there are two routes to foundation programs. Obviously there's independent foundation program companies that will offer these courses. The best route usually is through the university or college that you're applying to themselves. They will have foundation programs, whether it be just a 3-month over the summer, if you're maybe like 0.5 points off your IELTS test, you just need to get that up a little bit more. You can do, a 3-month over the course summer, or you can do a 1-year course as well if perhaps, your grades, your English weren't quite what you needed, or you need a conversion course. We'll do a 1-year course. All of the HEIs will offer those themselves, and you can look into basically what different courses are available and what suits you.
Regarding visa matters, many of our students would like to know the conditions for the study visa. And if the students buy Edubond, would they still need to provide financial documents?
Yeah, so education bonds are of course very useful. It means that that money is reserved for the student. For our visa policy, you still do need to provide financial documents. They don't have to be stringent. It's just to prove a history of saving, and that the family can support the student while they're there. It's also worth noting as well for family, we don't require basically the 4 years if they're undergraduate students of proof that they can support them for 4 years, because students can work in Ireland while they're there, part-time during the term and full-time during their holidays period. So students can help to support themselves there. We just basically need to see that this, the family can afford to pay the fees and to support the student for the first year.
Good. We know that the students can work 20 hours during study time and 40 hours during break time. Is it correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. So students can work 20 hours during semester, 40 hours, which is full time during their holidays. And the average, the minimum wage in Ireland that a student must legally be paid is about €10 an hour. So it is quite high, and it does help the students to support themselves while they're in Ireland. And also, of course, get financial, to get a beneficial work experience as well. The reason we say part-time during semester is because we want the students to actually go to class. their parents would be very upset with us if they didn't go to class.
Brilliant, brilliant. And can you tell us a little bit about the renting of accommodations? How should the students rent accommodations?
Yeah, so there are three main types of accommodation for students in Ireland. First one is on-campus accommodation, and that's most popular with students outside of the Dublin area as well, where there's larger campuses, obviously outside cities. So you should talk to as soon as you apply to the university, you should talk to the international office there about their accommodation options. The second one, which we usually recommend for first-year undergraduate students who are just, arriving into the country to start, is a homestay, where you would stay with an Irish family, and they would, provide food for you, they would help you, and they would live near the campus as well. So that's really kind of a good way to help you integrate into society, and, for parents as well, to be sure that their child, who is it's their first time presumably living out of the country and living away from home, that there is a support system at home for them. And we usually recommend that for the first year for undergraduate students, but again, it's up to the student. The third option, of course, is to rent an apartment outside of campus with your friends or, by yourself. And there's lots of different websites to help you do that. And usually the international office will have accommodation officers who can point them in the right directions and which websites are most popular in those towns.
Good, good. How should the students buy medical insurance?
So there are many different options for medical insurance for international students. All international students coming to Ireland do need to have medical insurance. They can ask their HEI, the university they're applying to, which would be the best option for them and which one has been approved by the visa office. For the moment, however, given the COVID crisis, it's important to note that international students are being treated in Ireland for free. There will be no bills associated with that.
Good, brilliant. And the last question. In general, what would you advise our Vietnamese students who are considering to study in Ireland?
So yeah, the first piece of advice that I would give for a Vietnamese student who's considering to study in Ireland is absolutely study in Ireland. It's a very wise choice. Ireland is the only English-speaking country in the European Union at the moment. We have one of the best education systems in the world. All of our universities are ranked in the top 5% in the world. Some are ranked in the top 1%. We are one of the friendliest and safest countries in the world. And we have excellent work opportunities for students after graduation. So it really is the whole experience. And that's what we focus on with our students, that whole holistic experience, that education, work, and social side of things.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Isobel, for the talk today. It has been very informative. We really appreciate it. Cảm ơn tất cả các bạn đã theo dõi cuộc trò chuyện của chúng tôi hôm nay. Hy vọng những thông tin này sẽ giúp ích cho các bạn để có thể đưa ra quyết định lựa chọn Ireland làm điểm đến du học của mình. Nếu có thêm câu hỏi hay cần thêm bất cứ thông tin gì, hãy cho chúng tôi biết trong phần bình luận hoặc inbox. Cuối cùng, hãy theo dõi fanpage Education in Ireland Việt Nam để có thông tin cập nhật sớm nhất về các cơ hội học bổng cũng như tất cả các thông tin du học về Ireland. Xin cảm ơn và hẹn gặp lại tất cả các bạn. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.